Hi guys, welcome back. This is part 3 of the troll video. In this video we're working on rows 1 through to the end of row 21 of the head. So if you don't need any help with those rows, then head on over to the next video. Before we start the head, go ahead and cut a piece of yarn and set it aside. I cut, I think that's about 2.5 feet. You don't really need that long. I just like to have them too long instead of too short. So go ahead and cut a nice length and set that aside, and then we'll get started working on the head of the troll. We're going to start row 1, and row 1 is a loop with 6 stitches. Now remember when I started the nose with you back in part 1 of this series, I showed you how to do this loop very slowly, so I'm going to go over it again, but I'm going to go a little quicker this time. So if you need help with it, just go back to that first video and watch that part again. So I'm making my slip knot. And now I'm going to put 6 single crochets into this ring. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And remember, this is a watch me video. And once you see how to do it, then you're going to pause the video, try it yourself, and when you're ready to move on, just hit play again. It's impossible for me to go the perfect speed for everybody. Alright, we're finished row 1, and now we have 6 stitches in that loop. Row 2 is 2 single crochets in each one of those 6 stitches. This row, I'm going to show you how to hide the starting yarn tail. You can leave it hanging if you want to, but if you want to hide it out of the way, I'm going to show you how to do that. But first I'm going to get a couple stitches in. I'm going to put 2 single crochets into that first stitch. There's 1 and 2. I'm going to put 2 single crochets into the second stitch. And now my loop's a little bit bigger and easier to hang on to. I'm going to put 2 single crochets into the third, but this time I'm going to pick up that starting yarn tail and hold it over my hook. And that's all I'm going to do with it. And I'm going to hide that away while I crochet around it. And there's 2 single crochets into my third. Now I'm going to go into the fourth, hold that starting yarn tail over my hook, and put in 2 single crochets, and into the fifth, same thing, crocheting around that starting yarn tail. And now last stitch of the row, 2 single crochets at the end of row 2, and now we have 12 stitches around, and you can see we've hidden away that starting yarn tail, and now we can cut it free. Just be careful not to cut any of your working yarn. We wouldn't want to do that. That would be frustrating for sure. Ready to start row 3, I'm going to put in my marker. And there's all sorts of different stitch markers out there. I just find yarn so convenient because I can move it around so quickly. But it can be pulled out, so you got to keep that in mind as you're crocheting. You don't want to lose your spot, so just keep an eye on that marker. Alright, row 3 is 1 single crochet in the first, and then 2 single crochets into the second, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around till you land on the marker. So there's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and when you land on the marker you'll be putting in 2 single crochets. I'll do the first set with you and then I'll leave you on your own. 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the second. And that's it. Now we're just going to repeat that sequence all the way around. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and onwards. I'll continue on with the pattern. I'll meet you back here when we land on that marker. Finished row 3, and now we have 18 stitches around. And remember, you can count those stitches. Just pull out your last stitch so you don't lose it. And the first one to count is underneath this big loop and those V's. You just count the V's all the way around. And when you get in front of that knot, you should have 18 stitches. Alright, I've moved my marker. Row 4 is 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets into the third stitch. And then we'll repeat that sequence, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, all the way around. And when you land on the marker, you should be putting in 2 single crochets. I'll do the first set with you. There's 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and now 2 single crochets into the third. 1 and 2. So I'll leave you on your own, and I'll meet you back here when we land on the marker. one in the first, one in the second, and then 2 single crochets into the third. At the end of row 4, and now we have 24 stitches around. I've moved my marker, and remember, if the piece starts folding up on itself, just to keep watch on that, you want to be working on the right side. So that's the right side, and that's the wrong side. Row 5 is 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochets into the fourth, and then you're going to repeat that all the way around. When you land on the marker, you'll be putting in 2 single crochets. I'll do the first set with you, and then I'll leave you on your own, and we'll meet back here when we land on the marker. 1 single crochet in the first, 1 in the second, 1 single crochet in the third, and then 2 single crochets into the fourth stitch. And now we're going to repeat that sequence, and we'll continue repeating until we land on the marker, and then we'll meet back here. At the end of row 5, and I've moved my marker, we now have 30 stitches around. Row 6 through 10 is 1 single crochet in each one of those 30 stitches for 5 rows. So again, I'm going to continue off the pattern. I'll meet you back here at the end of row 10. Every time you move this marker, put a notch on your notepad, and then we'll meet back here once you have 5 of those notches. And if you've lost track, remember you can count the rows. Remember to count behind the marker. So right now we should have 5 rings. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I know I'm at the end of row 5. So let's continue on, and we'll meet back here when we land on the marker at the end of row 10. 1 single crochet in each one of those 30 stitches for 5 rows. Alright, I'm at the end of row 10, and I've moved my marker. And row 11 is 2 single crochets in the next 15 stitches, and then 1 single crochet in the remaining 15 stitches. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and count the 15th stitch from the start here, and I'm going to mark it off. So there's 1, just count those V's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So I'm going to go ahead and put a marker in there. So when you land on the first marker, you should be putting in 2 single crochets. And then when you land on the second marker, you should be putting in 1 single crochet. I'll go ahead and speed this up, and I'll meet you here when we land on that first marker. Alright, coming to that first marker, I'm going to pull it out and go ahead and put in my 2 single crochets. And now I'm going to continue on with 1 single crochet in the remaining 15 stitches. When I land on that second marker, I'll be putting in 1 single crochet. I'll continue on with the pattern. I'll meet you back here when we reach the end of the row. Okay, I'm at the end of row 11, and I've moved my marker, and now we have 45 stitches around. Rows 12 through 18 is 1 single crochet in each one of those 45 stitches for 7 rows. And again, it's a good idea to keep a little notepad beside you, and every time you move the marker, put a notch on your notepad, and when you reach 7 notches, we'll meet back here. So my advice for this first row is just take your time, go a little slower, because these stitches are a little bit more bunched up than the other ones because we put 2 single crochets in each of those stitches in the previous row. So just make sure your hook's going into the right stitch and that you don't skip any. And it's a good idea to do a stitch count when you reach the end of this row. Make sure you still have 45. At the end of row 18, and look at, we're starting to get his face shape. That's this part here. So row 19 is 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then crochet 2 together, and we're going to repeat that sequence 6 times, and then we're going to put 1 single crochet in the remaining 15 stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark off the first 30 stitches, because that's how many we're going to be working over for that first part. I'll put my marker in there. The first part of this row is 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then we're going to crochet 2 stitches together, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. We don't have to count the times because we know when we land on this first marker, we'll be crocheting 2 stitches together. So let's do part of this row together. And remember, if you are one of those people that sees gaps as you're decreasing, that you can use the invisible decrease. If you don't see gaps, then don't worry about it. 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and now crochet 2 together. Leave that loop on our hook, go into the next stitch. Now we have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Now we're going to repeat that. And if you want to do the invisible decrease, you can work in either the front loop or the back loop, whichever one is easiest for you. Alright, I'm going to continue on. I'll meet you back here when we land on the first marker. Coming to the first marker, and I'm going to crochet 2 stitches together, pull that marker out. And now I can continue on with 1 single crochet in the remaining 15 stitches. I'll meet you back here when we land on the second marker. At the end of row 19, and I've moved my marker, and now we're down to 39 stitches around. Row 20, we're going to be working over the next 24 stitches. We're going to put 1 single crochet in the next 2, and then crochet 2 together, and then 1 single crochet in the remaining 15 stitches. So I'll go ahead and mark off the 24th from here. 1, 2, 3, 24. Okay, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then crochet 2 together. Keep repeating that sequence until you land on the marker. Alright, come into the first marker, about to crochet 2 together, and now I can continue on with 1 single crochet in those remaining 15 stitches. I'll meet you back here when we reach the end of this row. Alright, at the end of row 20, and now we're down to 33 stitches around. Row 21 is 1 single crochet in the first, and then crochet 2 together, and repeat that 6 times. So I'm going to go ahead and mark off the 18th stitch. Okay, so once you land on the first marker, you should be crocheting 2 together, and then you can put 1 single crochet in the remaining 15 stitches. 1 single crochet in the first, and then 2 together. Repeat that 6 times. We'll meet back here when we land on that first marker. Alright, come into the first marker, pull it out, crochet those 2 stitches together, and now continue on with 1 single crochet in the next 15 stitches. Alright, at the end of row 21, now we're going to work a little bit on this face. So pull out that last stitch so you don't lose it. Pull it out pretty long, just like I'm doing here. You don't want to lose that stitch. We don't have to have a marker in here right now. Just get that out of our way. Now we're going to make the little indent for the mouth. Alright guys, we're going to end the video here, and we're going to head on over to part 4. Remember, you're going to have that strand of yarn ready, and we're going to start working on his mouth. So I'll see you over in the next video.